Hey everybody, this is Chris P. from Celador, and you are listening to According to Metal. Keep it speedy, folks.
Joining us on According to Metal, a friend of the program and a soon-to-be friend of the program are both joining forces. Their bands are joining forces, and of course they're joining us here on the According to Metal podcast. Of course, we got Tony Piccoli from Imminent Sonic Destruction, as you well know, and also Tony Waldman of Edensong. Both are going to be touring here very, very soon. We're excited to tell you more about that. I know they're excited to tell you a little bit more about that. Now, we're excited to have two Tonys over here on According to Metal. So, ISD Tony and Edensong Tony, welcome to According to Metal.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys. And if this whole metal thing doesn't work out, my 2 cents, and I know that, Edensong, Tony, you're in the Connecticut, New York area. I was thinking, like, two Tony's Pizzeria makes a hell of a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like, you could just be over the top with, like, hey, I'm Tony and I'm Tony. Hey, come over to Tony's. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway. But glad that you guys are here. See, good idea. You always have backup plans. We get that. But glad that you guys have joined us, and excited to talk about your new tour coming up soon.
Very excited.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Just the work involved to get this thing put together. I'm just looking forward to actually getting out there and playing now.
Well, either one of you, I guess. Tony, ISD Tony, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell us kind of how this came to be. How did you guys? How do you know each other? How'd you get together? And then, what was the process? I've always been curious. What's the process like selecting the cities that you decide to go to?
Well, as far as how we know each other, and Tony Tony Waldman, go ahead and elaborate where I might miss some details, but we actually met on the 2014 Prog Nation cruise that Mike Portnoy put together. And actually our rooms were like right across the hallway from each other, and we hung out. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You remember?
Cruise, I forget.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I was sauced up as well. But yeah, our rooms are right there. And we hung out on the boat quite a bit and kind of have kept in touch since then. And it just so happens that, several years later, we both released an album in the same year, and we both have a need to go on tour. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of the timing worked out for everyone's availability to be able to do this. And Tony and myself and James from Edensong and our good friend John Katzian have all kind of, done everything we can to put the thing together.
Yeah, I think we definitely have to give a big shout out to John Katzian, because he's sort of the reason why we know each other. John Katzian started and has been running YitsyJam.com, and he was, I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, John helped sort of put Imminent Sonic Destruction together?
That's right, yeah.
Brought you guys together.
Yeah, he kind of put us all in the same room and said, play this music that Tony has written, and it worked. That was in 2007.
Yeah, and he did that for you guys, and he was a big fan of Edensong, our first album, and he wrote such a great review on YitsyJam.com, and I was kind of drawn to him. I read his review, and he really got the music, and we sort of became friends online. And then when he found out, John Katzian, that we were both going to be on this prog cruise, he sort of did what he did with you guys. He sort of put us in together in like a Facebook chat room and was like, guys, you guys got to meet up. You guys got to talk. And so, yeah, big shout out to him. I think he's been wanting us to tour. This is his wet dream.
That's true.
Prog wet dream.
And as far as like the city selection process, it's not like if we had an unlimited amount of days, we would choose every single city that we could. But it's really for us, we're still kind of working our way up the ladder, if you will. It's kind of who we know and where we know them, and then who our friends know, and who that person knows. So that's kind of really how it happened. Some of these like St. Louis, for example, I was approached by someone I never knew saying, hey, like, you guys want to do a show? And it worked out to where we could schedule it. And then, like our show in Toronto, that was all James and Tony and in the Edensong guys that knew 4:30, is that right?
Yeah, 4:30.
And they hooked us. Yeah, and they hooked us up with a great promoter out there, and so yeah, that's kind of really how it works. It's just basically who do you know and who can help you, and that's where we are.
Indeed, and also before ISD and Edensong joined forces on the road in Toronto, Edensong is going to be up in Quebec playing a prog festival, and so we thought, if we're eventually going to come down to Detroit, where ISD will be, we should meet up like in another city in Canada, maybe Montreal or Toronto. And it turned out we were going to hit Toronto, and then the other, U.S. states after that. So,
well, very cool. And
then back to our hometown in New York City, and then the tour ends.
Very nice.
So,
yep.
Well, the thing I think that's going to be really cool about this, and I'm just kind of curious your guys' thoughts, both of you guys, and obviously ISD, Tony, you had recurring themes. Now you have Triumphia. Edensong, Tony, you have, Fruit Fallen to now, Years in the Garden of Years. And as a listener and a fan, I hear the differences between the two albums pretty clearly. But as a band, and I'm just kind of curious your thoughts, and ISD, Tony, I'll start with you first. I know that every musician kind of, treats every album like it's their children. Like, oh, I love them all the same. But when you look at, recurring themes, looking at that versus Triumphia, what do you hear when you go back and listen to stuff you did a while ago versus the stuff you did now? So I think what's interesting about both of you guys is your first release was quite a ways, quite some time ago in comparison to your new stuff now. And so when you go back and listen to it, and again, ISD, Tony, I'll start with you first. What do you hear difference-wise? I know what I hear as a listener, but as a person who wrote it, as a person who's in the band, what do you hear between the two?
I think the first word that comes to mind would be maturity. Like, I actually just listened to recurring themes today, actually. And, to me, I hear it and I go, wow, there's a lot of energy in this. It's just like, it's a punch in the face. Whereas Triumphia is more of a thought out thing. More of a complete, message, if you will. As far as the music goes, like, obviously there's still a lot of similarities. There's heavy parts, there's mellow parts, but I think Triumphia is a more complete, thought-out entity compared to Recurring Themes, which was really a collection of songs put together for an album.
Very cool. Now, Tony from Edensong, what did you see as your difference between the two?
Like TP said. Oh, sorry, did I just call you TP? Tony
yeah,
Piccolo?
That's fine. It's okay, dude.
That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, TP. Okay, that's a new nickname. I didn't know.
TP.
And just for everyone
TP,
listening,
yeah,
for the rest of the interview, he will be referred to as TP from now on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh God. Sorry, Tony.
It's all good, dude.
Sorry, you're so angry. You're so angry right now. I'm just kidding. But like Tony said, maturity is definitely a key word. Because the Fruit Fallen was the debut album of Edensong. It came out in 2008, but that's largely based on songs that James, the leader of Edensong, wrote from high school until like the end of college. And James's approach for the Fruit Fallen was a lot more folkier stuff, less metal. And I think with the Fruit Fallen, it's more of a collaborative thing. With Years in the Garden of Years, it's more of a collaborative thing, and we're reaching back more to our roots of metal and Justice for All harmonies and things like that. but still keeping the essence of Edensong there, that folky stuff, and also using a lot of world music. For example, on the Fruit Fallen, James made use of Indian tabla, and some other, I forget, world instruments. And, on the Years in the Garden of Years, we used Balinese gamelan, Indonesian instruments, and an exotic instrument from Switzerland. And so, but yes, still, we've definitely matured and more collaborative.
And it's funny you say what you say, because as a listener, let me kind of give you my feedback on both
Sure.
of what you said. And it's funny you say what you said. Tony, ISD Tony, I should say, or TP. The sound I get from Triumphia is, to me, reoccurring themes I know Biv really, really liked. I thought it was good. However, we both thought that Triumphia was outstanding. So I think you made a tremendous leap from album to album. And it's funny you say what you say, Edensong, Tony, is that when I listen to The Fruit Fallen and I listen to Years in the Garden of Years, there's a definite more, I guess I'm butchering the English language, but there's definitely a lot more heaviness to the Years in the Garden of Years than I hear from the Fruit Fallen. So what's funny is as a band, and now that you're going on tour, and one, ISD is typically more of a progressive metal band, and I would consider you guys, especially Fruit Fallen, as being more of a progressive rock band, but now that you're moving a little bit more towards metal, I find it kind of interesting of the combination of you two guys on tour. And this is another question for you, Edensong, Tony. One of the things that I found that really stood out, and obviously you've had several different members of the band who do this, but right now you have Barry who's doing it. But besides Jethro Tull, I can't think of any bands that I know of off the top of my head that have flute as such a prevalent instrument in your music. And really kind of almost dictates a lot of the melody, a lot of the tracks that you guys do. What kind of made the flute be a prominent role? Or play a prominent role in the songwriting and the direction of Edensong?
Well, when James started Edensong in college, just about 12 or so years ago, James. First of all, James is a huge Jethro Tull fan, and so
it's funny I said that.
So yeah, he was always, I think, drawn to the flute, and the Fruit Fallen has a major presence. I'm sorry. The flute. Had a few drinks tonight. The flute had a major presence on the Fruit Fallen, and but there was no real full time. I think there's a few different flute players on the Fruit Fallen, and but we finally, for the Years in the Garden of Years, we found a full time flute player, and it's just such a melodic instrument. It's been important to James, and it's sort of important in terms of the essence of Edensong. Jethro Tull.
Yeah, it's very unique, but also very cool at the same time.
Yes.
Now, TP. So, very quickly, as something I want to follow up on something you said a second ago. You said that the second CD was more of a thought-out, conscious writing type piece, whereas the first CD was just more of, let's do this thing. So, that being said, do you ever feel like writing, or the thought process will actually get in the way?
No, not at all. In fact, if I didn't have that thought process for myself personally, if I didn't have that thought process, I probably wouldn't really be writing very much, honestly, because I think of song ideas way in advance, before I even pick up the guitar, So I kind of lean on that and rely on that my little process for writing songs in general.
Well, I guess what I'm really asking is, do you ever really think that you can outthink it, that you can overthink it?
Sure. And, I kind of recognize when that happens. And usually what I do is I just kind of take a break from it, or as I did on Triumph.